Hi everyone, this is Venkat Narayana. Today I am going to discuss about India Mart. So we are going to discuss India Mart stock. Fundamentally, this is not a recommendation. This is for only education purpose only. India Mart came into IPO on June 24, 2019 to June 26, 2019. What India Mart will do? It is an e-commerce company that connects Indian suppliers and manufacturers with buyers from all over the world. It is a leading B2B marketplace. Here, B2B means business to business in India and the third most successful company in the world. Now, we'll open India Mart website. Here, this is the India Mart website. Here, this website will provide business to business. For example, any company wants to buy mobiles as a bulk, then here in India Mart will provide different suppliers. So we can contact with the suppliers, then we can buy mobiles bulk. Here we have so many things like here different categories. Here we have India Mart profile. India Mart is India's largest online B2B marketplace connecting buyers with suppliers. With 60% market share of the online B2B classified space in India, the channel focuses on providing a platform for small and medium enterprises. It was founded in 1999. Here their website contains 113 million buyers, 6.2 million suppliers, 69 million products and services. Intermart has 2,917 employees located across 41 offices in the country. Here we have key managing personnel for IndiaMart. Dinesh Chandra Agarwal, he is managing director. We'll see his profile. Here Dinesh is 51, is the managing director of our company. He studied at Maharaja Agrasen Vidyalaya and he worked in different IT companies like Hindustan Management and Technical Services Private Limited, SCL America, SCL Limited, Hewlett Packard Limited, etc. So basically he is the IT guy. Later Brijesh Kumar Agarwal is a relative of Dinesh. He is full-time director. His age is 41 years. He holds a master degree in management science from University of Lucknow and PG diploma in business management from Northern Institute of Integrated Learning in Management, New Delhi. And here Pratik Chandra is a CFO. His age is 37 years. He holds a bachelor degrees in commerce from University of Delhi. He is a qualified chartered accountant and has experience in the field of finance. If you want to analyze any company fundamentally, then we need to check all the documents related to that company. We need to analyze annual reports, conference calls, credit reports. We'll get so much information from those documents. Here, we are going to discuss conference call for June 2019. That is the first conference call. Here, this document contains 17 pages. We need to go each point to understand financial information of the company, management analysis, and business model analysis. Here, Dinesh Agarwal is the MD and Chief Executive Officer. Brijesh Kumar Agarwal is the full-time director. Pratik Chandra, CFO. We need to remember these names throughout this document. We'll go down. Here, first page. Here, Dinesh is giving about company. Here, as you are aware, India Mart got listed on BSE and NSE stock exchanges last month on 4th of July. I would like to thank our stakeholders, everyone, shareholders, investors, employees, and customers of their continued support during the financial journey of towards the IPO. We'll skip these things. We'll start from here. India Mart started its operations as a limited company in 1999 And today, we are the largest B2B online classified marketplace with over 60% market share. So we need to remember this point, 60% market share. IndiaMart provides a robust two-way discovery model with almost 88 million registered buyers with 5.6 million registered suppliers on our platform. Here they have 88 million buyers and 5.6 million registered suppliers. In aggregate, we display more than 60 million products and services in our marketplace, which are further categorized into 138 categories coming from 54 different industries and 1000 plus towns and cities of India. On a monthly basis, we make almost 37 million inquiries with suppliers listed on our platform. That is almost 15 matchmakings every second on our platform. Our platform is completely free for the buyers. So, this IndiaMart platform is free for buyers. They will get the money from suppliers. Here, we can revenue primarily through the sale of advertising and list of subscription packages to the suppliers, which offer the range of benefits including the priority listing to the supplier's storefront, access to the RFQs depending upon the subscription packages type, premium number service, and access to advanced lead management system. If you see this one, we earn revenue primarily through the sale of advertising and listing subscription packages. If you go to their website, here different websites are displaying. Due to this web advertisements, they will get the money, and also here different suppliers is there. Every supplier need to take package. So here different packages is there. So due to their packages, they will get the money. Here, an integrated access to third-party online payments gateway to all the payment customers. Ours is a premium business model, and today we have approximately 1,33,000 paying customers of IndiaMart. So here we need to remember this point. Another important thing that I would like to highlight is that our revenue comes primarily from subscription, and we collect subscription monies in advance for 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, and all with monthly packages. So this point is very important. If we go to financial information of IndiaMart, here I opened RateStar.in and I searched IndiaMart. If you go to financial ratios, here if you see this one receivable days, the receivable days in March 20 is 0.43 days. That means within half day they are collecting the money. In 2019, 0.23 days. That means within half day. Like that, within half day they are collecting money from customers, and they are paying in 14 days for vendors. So your cash conversion cycle is 13 days. That means today they are getting money. After 14 days they are paying to vendors. So they have 14 days money. They have money 14 days. So this is a very positive point. While we collect monies upfront, we can recognize revenue only for the period of contract. This results into negative working capital and leads to higher deferred revenue on our balance sheet. So this is a positive point. Here cash conversion cycle is negative. That means they are keeping money with them many days. So this is a positive point for the company. So here all the time cash conversion cycle is negative. As a result, we generate a lot more cash from operations as against the EBITDA. For example, last year, financial 2019, we generated 255 crores of cash from operations as against the EBITDA for about 82 crores. Here, if you see this one, in March 20, cash from operating activities 264 crores. If you go to financial information of annual reports, here EBITDA is 172 crores. They're getting EBITDA 172 crores, but cash from operating activities 264 crores. This is more than EBITDA. How they are getting means they have prepaid customers. Due to that one, they are getting more money from cash from operating activity. This is very positive point for the company. Buyers discover suppliers on our marketplace by searching products and services or by posting business inquiry called RFQ. Our business model is unique in that sense that suppliers can choose the RFQ or the buyer as well as the buyer can search for the suppliers. So here buyers can search for suppliers and suppliers can search using RFQ. This gives us many behavioral information about supplier preference and we utilize those supplier preference very effectively in our algorithm matchmaking, thereby improving experience for supplier as well as buyers. So they are getting the information based on suppliers and buyers searching and they are running different algorithms and they are improving the buyers and suppliers experience. This is good for company. Here, last year on an annual basis, we had about 723 million visits on our website in financial 2019. On 75 to 76% of that visits were coming from the mobile website and mobile apps. Okay, from this one, 75% getting from mobile website and mobile apps. In addition, I would like to emphasize that 100% of this traffic is organic. That means we do not spend many money in advertising and attracting any buyers or sellers on our platform. This is a positive point. And our cost of buyer acquisition typically becomes zero that way. That means they're not paying money for advertisement. We'll see it's true or not. Here, if you go to annual reports, here total expenditure. Here we have selling and distribution expenses. Advertisements comes under selling and distribution expenses. Here, if you see it says up to 16 they spend money for advertisement. Here 2016 they spend 12% and 15 11%. After that they are not spending for advertisements. So here it's nearly to 0%. That means they are not doing any advertisements. So here they are saving the money. Our buyers are coming from 1000 plus cities and towns of India. As you can see in the earning presentation, only 36% of our buyers come from metro and rest of the buyers come from thousands of towns and cities of India. The traffic coming from metro is up to 36%, remaining coming from small towns. This is a positive point. Buyer satisfaction remains at the forefront of our business model, along with our efforts to provide buyers with a comprehensive discovery platform. We also personalize the buyer's experience like buyers search on IndiaMart by matching the behavior based preference of suppliers with respect to location as well as the product category. Here they are running different algorithms to provide good information to buyers. Currently, we are doing this with traditional algorithm, but we are also experimenting with machine learning based artificial intelligence algorithm to to use the supplier behavioral data to improve our matchmaking further. So currently they are using traditional algorithm. They're trying to implement artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. It will be positive for the company in the future. Along with our strong SME supplier base, we now have started to attract bigger brands and larger suppliers on our platforms. Today, almost 100 plus suppliers, be it from Tata Motors to Tata Steel, Philips to Schneider, JCB, Fevicol, Fidelite, Mahindra, and names like that, have also started to advertise side by side of the SMEs on our platform. So many big companies are advertising in IndiaMart. This is a positive point for the company. We believe that this would also be good profitable growth for IndiaMart in times to come. Now we'll go to the next point. We continue to make investments in avenues that will drive future growth by focusing on increasing new customer acquisition as well as improving supplier engagement and retention. As part of this, we continue to explore and experiment with new opportunities in fintech and SaaS. Later here, CFO Pratik Chandra giving financial information. Already we have financial information with quarterly results, so no need to check this one. Skip this point. So here we have different questions from individual investors and mutual funds companies to promoters. So now onwards we need to concentrate more on these questions and answers. Due to this one, we can analyze business models and management analysis. This is a two-way communication, so it will be very good chance to analyze the company. Yeah, first question from Jay. He is from Perfect Research. Here he have few questions. Question number 1. What is the reason for higher difference for computer and gross block compared to JustDL? So here this person comparing IndiaMart with JustDL. Our gross block is around 7 crores versus JustDial at around 160 crores. Here gross block of JustDial is 160 crores, but IndiaMart is only 7 crores. So he is asking why this much difference. So almost a difference of 25x, and also the difference between the revenues only 2x. Is our model different from their in terms of the internal sales part? This is question number 1. Question number 2. What has been the reason for negative net worth historically? And also, it is observed that profitability was reached close to IPO by reducing the advertisement spend from more than 19% of sales in financial 16 to 1% now. Can we still grow without such advertisements? Already we checked that here in 2016 and 17, here they spent 11%, 12%, 2%. This advertisement. Later, 2018 onwards, they didn't spend for advertisement. So here they are saving 10 to 12% without this advertisements. So here they are asking question about this one. Question number 3. If IndiaMart is already around 60% of market share and the market is not growing in higher double digits, then how will you maintain high growth rates? IndiaMart have 60% market share. Their question about this one. Question number 4. Does the company plan to make investments in startups from the company or funds like InfoEdge does? Here they are comparing with Naukri.com and they are asking like IndiaMart will invest in startup companies. So here promoter Dinesh had investments around 30 to 40 startups in personal capacity. And lastly, what went wrong with Tolexo transaction model? When companies like Udaan are doing quite well, goodwill created was around 100 crores and then it was impaired in a short time. Here, IndiaMart have Tolexo transaction model. This Tolexo they combine with Udaan. And how do we plan to sustain the competitive landscape where it's like Alibaba and Amazon exist with our platform being a horizontal one, which world over are getting cornered. In India also, Just Rail is a good example. So won't similar fate happen to India Mart? Here, they're comparing India Mart with competition from Alibaba and Amazon. Now we'll check Dinesh answers. First thing, so here I have not studied in detail about Justel, but I think they have purchased an office block. Due to that one, they spent 160 crores. And if I remember correctly, when the IPO came, one of the important clauses of IPO was to make a office block. So I think they have taken a big office block in Bangalore. So I think that is why their gross block is higher. Okay, here Jay question. Actually, I am talking only about the computer glass block that I checked in the notes. So it is not about the property, it is only about the computer. Now Dinesh answer. Maybe they are maintaining their own data center, but India might leasing the data center from outside. So I would not able to answer on behalf of Justel. All the computers that we have is the local computers that we own from our own employees, and all the servers and everything they are leased on a yearly or monthly or quarterly basis from the data centers which are located in the US, Singapore as well as India. So India Mart using data centers from US, Singapore and India. So they are paying money. So they are not spending more on data centers. Here Pratik Chandra, CFO, is answering few questions. Here, this, this negative net worth question is with respect to historical financial statement. And when you look at the historical financial statements, there are multiple adjustments that you need to look at. Specifically, one expense which you would see in our profit and loss historically has been a net loss on financial liability at FVTPL, which was essentially the difference between the fair valuation of preference shares that we had as at the period end. This was introduced by virtue of the INDAS, this is the accounting standard change. It was a non-cash expense and only an accounting adjustment. And it was there year on year. Before IPO, we converted all the preferences share to equity shares. So this expense is not expected to come in the future. So if you adjust our net worth for this entire adjustment, you would find that our net worth was actually positive in even years prior to the IPO. So here we need to concentrate on this point. More importantly, the second question related to this was with respect to advertising. If you notice our historical financials, advertisement was last done majorly in financial year 16. Already we checked that one. And that was essentially the brand advertising that we did, and which was kind of a TV campaign we did. We hired Irfan Khan, who was our brand ambassador at that point of time, and we did a TV advertising basis that. After that, we have not done any advertising as such. So it is not that any advertising decision was with respect to the consideration of the IPO. So in 2016, they did advertisements with Bollywood actor Irfan Khan. Later, they didn't do any advertisements for IPO and later also. So due to that one, they're saving money. We typically decide for doing the advertising depending upon our business needs. And currently, we believe that we do not require advertising as both the buyers and suppliers have been growing pretty handsomely for us. So, this is the positive point. Due to this point, they are not spending money for advertisements. And most of the growth has largely been organic. So, the advertising was only for the brand, and we believe that our brand has enough visibility as of now. So due to this one, they're not spending for advertising. Here next, Dinesh is the MD. Another point that you said that profitability is only achieved after dropping the advertisement. Our advertising expenses in financial 14-15 and 15-16 was in the range of 30 to 45 crores. See this one here. Here in 2015 they spent 20 crores. In 2016 they spent 29 crores. Here 7 crores. He is telling about this one. If you look at our earnings presentation uploaded on the stock exchange as well as on the India Mart's investor relations website, and if you go to slide number 9, which says cash generated from operating activities, you will see that cash generation has improved from 15 crores to 259 crores. This is a positive point. So even if we had the 25 crores to 35 crores rupees for advertising, we would still be generating cash in excess of 200 crores. So that is not really just to cut down on the advertising to become profitable. We have generally become profitable by increasing our revenues by 30%. So their profits was increased not only due to advertising cut it, due to increasing of revenues, their profit was increased. And containing our cost at 16 to 17%, you can adjust it for the advertisement cost as well. Still, we are far more profitable quarter on quarter and year on year. Here, they're getting revenues 30%, but they're spending only 16 to 17%. Due to this one, they're getting more profits. This is a positive point. Here we have another answer from Dinesh. Now coming to the third question on the market share. So B2B, that means business to business. Market is about 700 billion opportunity in itself, and this study was done about 3 years ago by Walmart. That the overall B2B market size is about $700 billion in 2020. Another statistic is that digital advertising market is growing at about 25% per annum and slated to become about 25,000 crores by 2021. So, if you really see, the market itself is growing at a double digits beyond our own penetration of growth. And when we say 60% say, it is only in the B2B classified segment. We do not take the advertising and search segment. IndiaMart getting revenues from B2B classified segment and also advertisement and search segment. So I do not see any immediate need for worrying in terms of growth rate. This is a positive point. We continue to believe that as in the past, we have been growing at around 25% plus minus. We should be able to hold our growth in a customer addition as well as in RPU, resulting into revenue growth of about 25%. As you can see, historically we have been growing at about 15 to 20% in the net customer growth, and the rest of the growth is coming from the increased realization from revenue per customer. So we continue to believe that will be grow. So this is a positive point. Here next one. Here this is answering about Tolexo. Here, if you go back and see typical B2B commerce model, it involves cataloging, pricing, involves knowledge of inventory, and then we have logistics and marketing as two additional stuff. Now, when we did Tolexo, we realized that maximum value that buyers on the platform got was from detailed product cataloging, availability of pricing of these products. And these two things in itself was one of the biggest challenges that buyers typically would face. So we have some drawbacks with Rolexo. Just to give you an idea, the further you are there from the larger wholesale markets of Delhi or Bombay, the overall prices becomes less and less transparent for you. The opacity keeps on increasing. Sitting in Agartala, you will never be able to figure out that product X, which may be selling at 100 in Agartala, actually sells for 70 or 80 in Bombay, Delhi. So that one relation that if we can get detailed product specification and if we could get prices for large number of categories instead of just focusing on the maintenance, repair, operations products that we are doing at Tolexo, you'd actually be able to gain substantially. And that is one of the reasons we decided to, instead of focusing on just one category of MRO, take it to all categories which are available on IndiaMart as a platform. So few disadvantages with Tolexo. They impaired Tolexo and they are using IndiaMart itself. Yet, second, IndiaMart, if you see, we get a substantial amount of organic traffic by virtue of what we have created over these years. Whereas at Tolexo, we are going ahead and spending money on acquiring this traffic because this was a new platform that we had created. IndiaMart getting organic traffic, but to get the traffic in Tolexo, they need to spend the money due to newly created platform. So that is a disadvantage. So from a business standpoint, over a period of time, we realized that it would make such much larger sense if rather than investing in acquiring traffic at Tolexo, why don't we use the overall traffic which we are gaining at IndiaMart for this purpose? Here, they changed their ideas based on for Tolexo disadvantages and also because of detailed product catalogs and because of pricing. If you look at our traffic growth over the last 2.5 3 years now, we have seen a substantial jump happening on IndiaMart platform. Lastly, one of the things that we are doing at Tolexo was logistics. We realized that unlike B2C means business to customer logistics, where home deliveries were something which were not being done earlier at a mass scale, business to business logistics have been happening for ages now. So the transportation setups that are existing in the country are extremely well suited to business scenario. So instead of adding a lot of value there, we were unnecessarily adding one layer of cost because we are coming in between. So we decided that instead of becoming a roadblock there, it would be easier if we let the buyers and the sellers actually manage their deliveries between themselves. So here in IndiaMart, sellers and buyers transporting based on their own logistics. So IndiaMart is not taking care. So here this is a lightweight for IndiaMart. And therefore, because of these three reasons broadly, we decided to in fact use the learnings from Tolexo at IndiaMart, which was a much larger platform, then continue to do what Tolexo was doing. So they discontinued Tolexo with loss. Now here, with respect to your question on Udaan and the other competitors, So here Udaan is a competitor for IndiaMart. We'll see Udaan website. Here Udaan business model. Here Udaan is a business to business marketplace on which manufacturers and wholesalers can sell their products to retailers via an online platform or mobile app. And the company provides logistics, secure payments, and technical support also. They are the asset-light player based on their business model. What IndiaMart is doing, their buyers and sellers is there. They will sell and buy the products, and logistics is not caring. IndiaMart is not caring about logistics, but Udaan is doing logistics also. Now we'll go to this one. As Dinesh mentioned, an entire business to business space is 700 billion space, and you are going to see multiple players coming in and looking at different segments of this business to business market altogether. That means here Udaan is the competitor for IndiaMart. So specifically, if you go back and see what Udaan is trying to do, is very similar to a metro wholesale, cash and carry business or a Amazon business for that matter, where they are working on taking certain limited number of products which are mostly to do with FMCG, for example, and they would target the kirana store owners and buyers like them. Secondly, they are focusing on building up their own logistics setup, which means having trucking being done internally and warehousing being done there. Thirdly, they are also going ahead and offer credit to buyers who are buying from sellers on their platform. Here, Udaan is giving credit also. Out of these three things, if you really go back and see, first, whatever Metro Cash and Carry and Walmart does is very different from the product of or the kind of coverage that IndiaMart has. That means IndiaMart and Udaan business model is different. Again, just to give an example of some of the recent products which have been inquired for on our platform. First product says Vertex 2, second says hot brickweed iron, industrial wall, polyacrylate powder, octanol solvent. Now, when you look at products like this, it will give you an idea on the kind of coverage we do as far as products in B2B are concerned, and that's extremely wide rather than getting focused on a limited number of products or categories there. Secondly, I mentioned we don't really see out of our own experience that we will add value into logistics space. Let Udaan go back and they would have their own philosophy. When we look at what they are doing on the credit side, I think that's an interesting area for us to look at it. So here, crediting to buyers is the interesting point to IndiaMart also. It is something which can be replicated. There are no entry barriers there. And therefore, over a period of time, we'll definitely evaluate and see if we can offer the same for our own customers and users on the platform. In the future, IndiaMart also can apply crediting to buyers. We'll see what will happen in the future. Here, Dinesh answer for another question. Another question that you asked was around the investments that I have made in my personal capacity and what would be IndiaMart strategy going forward. So this is about Dinesh's personal investments in startup companies. So I have been very passive investor, mostly looking at two platforms, either the TIE platform or looking at GSF. So most of my investments have happened through that. These are mostly small investments like 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs each, and in certain cases it has gone to 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs. The whole idea is to learn about the investment and also to learn about startup ecosystem and the new things that are happening. IndiaMart and personal investments are completely delinked from that perspective. So what I do for my learning purpose or for my giving back purpose or for my knowledge grasping purpose is not directly to be reflected in the IndiaMart strategy. So here Dinesh personal investment and IndiaMart strategies both are different. IndiaMart will take its own course of actions. The broader use of cash that we look at IndiaMart, one, obviously we have now adopted a dividend distribution policy. So we need to consider this point. Here we have now adopted dividend distribution policy. This point they mentioned in June 2019. Now if we go to BSE website, here IndiaMart, if you go to corporate actions, here 2020 March they gave 10 rupees dividend, but they told this point in 2019 June itself. So we need to remember this type of points. Here we have now adopted dividend distribution policy. That means they will give dividends in the future. The details of that would be uploaded once the minutes of the meetings are confirmed on the website as well as on the stock exchanges. 2. With the size of our company, will continue to build a cash balance or bank balance for our own usage tomorrow in case of any interesting opportunity comes for acquisition. So that means they'll keep money to find any new companies for acquisition. And 3, as I said, we continue to focus on fintech and SaaS opportunities and continue to look forward to any partnership opportunities either by way of investment or by way of acquisition. So any of that will come, we will definitely look at that. This is related to future investments. So next question from Ambit Capital. So here I have two questions. The first one pertains to the gross margins that you earn in our business. How do you look at the evolving? What are the various factors involved in there? And related question on margins is, you mentioned about customer acquisition cost being negligible. Can you throw some light on the lifetime value of the customers, quantifying that, and also explain customer churn? Second question is with respect to business inquiries. What are the factors that drive growth here? And can you talk a little bit about your strategy in providing a certain number of leads at a certain package and how that has changed and how this helps price discovery? Here Pratik Chandra answering is a CFO. If you look at our financials for the year ending March 2019, specifically the standalone financials, you would see a note in financial statement which talk about our review on the gross profits. And there, if you see, our gross profits last year ended March 2018 was more at around 65% odd, which has moved to around 72% in this quarter. The way we see our gross profit is that in our business essentially there are two things. So here we need to check this. One is the acquisition of the customer, and secondly the servicing, which is essentially the renewal and the upsell of the existing customers. So any cost which is related to existing customers is considered above the line, which is what we define it as a customer service cost. All the other costs, whether it's selling and distribution, the technology, the marketing, that comes below the line of the gross profit. So I would encourage you to go through that note, and that note explains very clearly. In case if there are still any doubts, you could let me know and I can certainly help you understand that. Okay, for the same question, here Dinesh Chandra answering. He is the MD. Here, if you see, there are mostly improvements coming from the cost of servicing and revenue per customer improvement and revenue per person improvement. Here, as our product is becoming more self-engaging, the customers are able to upgrade to higher services. As well as one single person is able to renew and serve and upsell lot more customer than he was able to do earlier. So as a result, our overall cost is only increasing 16 to 17%, whereas overall revenue is increasing 29 to 30%. This point already we know previously. So here, their revenue was increased 29 to 30%, but their overall cost is 16 to 70%, 17%. That means they have 14 to 16% revenue getting more. So which is resulting into the operating margin. Main operating leverage that you see is increasing ARPU that we have and decreasing cost that we have. And coming to your second question about the cost of customer acquisition. So in typical marketplace, there are two kinds of cost of customer acquisition. There is a cost of buyer acquisition and there is a cost of seller acquisition. So while I was referring to the cost of customer acquisition, I meant cost of buyer acquisition. In many marketplaces, you will see there is an advertisement cost being incurred to acquire buyers, be it any transaction marketplace or travel marketplace or any classified marketplace. So again highlights our cost of buyer acquisition is typically nil. Already we checked up to 2016 they spend for advertisement, later on they didn't spend for acquisition. So here same thing they mentioned, like cost of buyer acquisition is typically nil. Now coming to the cost of seller acquisition, our typical lifetime value of our seller is about 7x to 8x of the cost of seller acquisition. We'll skip this point. Here the third question that you ask is about business inquiries. So we need to concentrate on this one. So business inquiries coming from two different angles. One is increase in traffic, and increase in traffic again happens because of the two things. One is increase in unique users and repeat visit by the user. Here two types of users, unique users and repeat users. Second, their conversion on the website. Their conversion on the website improves overall the call and over the RFQs. So that is how our inquiries have increased. If you look at our overall number of inquiries that have increased, let me give you an exact numbers. Our registered buyers have increased from March 2016 is 27 million to 39 million. Here it increased from 27 million to 39 million. Later increased to 60 million. Later increased to 83 million. And now 88 million in June 2019. Here their registered users are keep on increasing. In terms of total number of inquiries, 2016 is 115 million, 2017 is 157 million, then 290 million, here 449 million. So within 4 years, it was increased from 115 million to 449 million. This is a rapid increase. On a quarterly basis, we are now doing a matchmaking of about 113 million matchmaking. As you can see that we peaked out in around November, December quarter. On last quarter, there was some subduedness because of the market challenges that you see. Here in November, December quarter, there are some subduedness. However, it has started to improve again in this quarter. This is a positive point. And believe that there is a very strong inquiry growth. If you convert total inquiries into the per customer inquiry, then you will see that over the last 3-4 years, the number of inquiries delivered per customer has also almost doubled or tripled over the last 3 years. This is a positive point. So next question from Arya. Here, I just wanted to check in on the revenue growth. If I went to sort of split up between paid subscribers, whether the annual revenue per subscriber, the paid subscriber addition, at least on a sequential basis, seems to have been a bit muted, while the annualized revenue per subscriber seems to be seeing very strong growth. Could you explain the reason for both these trends and how we should look at it going forward? Here, Pratik Chandra, CFO. So, to your questions on the paid subscribers as well as ARPU. If you see a paid subscriber year on year has grown by around 17%, when for quarter on quarter, yes, we have seen some subduedness. This is a negative point. Here, there were essentially two things that has happened which has resulted into our customer acquisition rate to this quarter to be 3000 as compared to almost 5000 to 6000 that we used to do every quarter. As we explained that we have two kind of customers, one as in the monthly customer and the second one is the annual and the multi-tier customer. So they have two types of customers, one is monthly customer, another one is annual and multi-year customers. We took some price hikes of annual entry level customer from 25,000 a year to 30,000 plus tax. Recently they hiked annual entry level from 25,000 to 30,000. This price hike was effective 1st of January. And in our experience, we have seen that it typically takes 6 to 9 months before the price hike is actually absorbed by the market. So there is some slowness in the terms of customer acquisition, which we expect that it should cover up in the next 2 to 3 months. The second is more about customer churn, which was increased slightly because of the ongoing toughness in the micro environment that we foresee. So, as we expect that the economy improves slightly, we expect that this churn rate should certainly kind of come down. Okay, next one. Here, Dinesh Chandra. Price hike doesn't result into average duration per customer per revenue immediately. Ours is a more of multi-tier, multi-year model. So he's explained IndiaMart business model. So as you can see, we have 4 types of subscription: monthly, silver annual, gold and platinum. And within platinum, we have multi-tiers. And similarly, we have monthly, annual and multi-year subscription. So average relation comes from 2-3 things. One, increase in prices of any particular type as well as mix changes. So as you will see that our customer mix slowly has been moving towards platinum being more and more than the overall subscriber base. Here, there is a positive point. As we have been saying that our 40% of our overall revenue comes from top 10% of customers. Remember this point, 40% of our overall revenue comes from top 10% of customers. And we keep taking prices increase of various packages at different intervals. And since we have a lot of customers from monthly and annual and multi-year model, the overall increase in response for what goes on to our deferred revenue and what comes out as a revenue. So I think we can expect a stronger RPU increase or realization increase for the next 2-3 quarters, because we had seen last there has been a stronger collection increases into higher deferred value revenue. Here Pradeep Chandra, CFO. What you are doing essentially is that you are taking the period of end customers. So if you look at quarter on quarter, essentially if you see from quarter 3 to quarter 4, there has been good increase in terms of the number of suppliers and specifically towards the mix. Since we are taking the end closing customer as a denominator, that is why it is reflecting that way. Skip these things. Here, go to this point. Here, monthly and annually will not be able to combine. So as I said, monthly you will have to look at separately, and annual and multi-year you will have to look separately. Even we try to compute a single number for churn, but found it very hard. So we always have to track two different numbers. So monthly churn basis used to be 4%, which has increased to about 5%, and the annual churn numbers it is to about 16 to 18%, which has increased 18% to 20%. Okay, skip these things. Here, our margins will improve continuously because continuously our revenues are improving at about 25%. So remember this point. Our margins will improve continuously because continuously our revenues are improving at about 25%, whereas our cost increase at 17%. Our quarter 4 financial 19 is an aberration because in quarter 4 financial year 19, while our revenue continues to improve at 25%, but the cost certainly increases big time because quarter 4 is a higher collection quarter or a higher billing quarter, which results into higher variable incentive, and that is why the margins actually look lower in the quarter 4. In quarter 4 they have higher revenues, but costs also increased. Due to this one, margins was decreased. So here, whereas the cash flow from operations look much higher at quarter 4. So here we'll see again is cash flow from operation of 50-60 crores that we are doing now per quarter. Quarter 4 was 98 crores cash flow from operations, and this is very similar to Naukri business. So here they are comparing India Mart with Naukri. So later, related to traffic growth, here the traffic growth seems a bit tepid. Any particular reason for that? Here, the traffic growth was growing very rapidly over the last 3 years. So if you really see our traffic and inquiries, they both have grown tremendously over the last 3-4 years. So the registered buyers have been growing at about 45% CAGR. This is very good. The traffic has been growing 40% CAGR, and the business inquiries delivered has been growing at 57% CAGR. And this was the case until the quarter 3 also. I think towards the end of the quarter 3 and quarter 4, there has been some tepid response due to the demand in the market, which has seen again uptick in the June quarter. And we believe if the economy improves quickly, that should not be a problem. So they have some problem with quarter 4. However, currently our number of leads and number of RFQs per customer continues to be much above any customer expectations. We continue to lag behind on the number of suppliers rather than on the number of buyers, because in the last 3 years a lot of more buyers have come into on the platform, whereas the supplier growth has been only at 20% to 25%. So I think there has been tepid response, but I guess that is due to economy. Here this is the reason. Well, it is improving again and hopefully it will improve in the next quarter. So this is August 2019 quarter. So we need to check September quarter. So here this is the question about customers. You said that top 10% of the customers you 40% of the revenue. What has been the trend over the last few quarters, last year for the whole year? Here Dinesh Chandra, MD. If you look at yearly trend, it used to be 38% in financial 17, 39% in 18, and 40% in 19, and remained about 40%, 41% today. But the number of top 10% customers have also increased, as you can see. Okay, here we have one more thing. The number of increase in the paying subscribers, which was slightly on the lower side this quarter, here again guiding that you will come back to the earlier run rate. What gives you that confidence that you will come back given the current economic scenario of the country? So here Dinesh Chandra answering like, depending upon our last month closing, which closed yesterday. Next, here EBITDA growth has been really strong this year. So like you indicated earlier, should we assume that you would increase it by 1% every quarter, or would it be actually more than that? Here CFO, it would be really difficult to give a quarterly guidance as such. But if you look at historically, our revenues has been growing at the rate of 25 to 30% growth rate. Our expenses have been growing at around 17% to 18%. We expect that similar trend should be continued. So accordingly, I am sure that we can work out to what EBITDA would look like. Here, the revenues grows 25 to 30%, but expenses growing 17 to 18%. That means their profit may be 14 to 16% more. That is positive point. Next question from Aditya. So here, I want to know what is the optimum level of cash that you want to maintain, after which you will think of other avenues. Like you said, you're planning to do some acquisitions and you want to keep it for other business purpose. So is there any ballpark number that you want to maintain? Here is asking about how much money extra cash need to buy any acquisitions in the future. Here Vijay Kumar, he is all-time director. When you look at the total capital, I think this number, if you want to specify, what is the number which will be good for her? It will be never be one number. It is a moving number altogether, depending upon at what scale, at what size we are operating, what are the opportunities we have, what are the future plans we have. I think this number will continue to change. Here, Vijay Kumar, management have clarity on how much they need money in the future based on expansion. So here we need to remember this point. As you mentioned that you are looking into the lending business as well. So are you planning to go on your own, or you are planning to do it through a partner, or set up your own NBFC to move into that space. Here related to lending business to buyers. Here we would look at fintech business. Currently we are only doing the payments business. Since somebody asked a question about Udaan, this is a competitor of IndiaMart. We said that lending to the buyers and sellers looks like an interesting opportunity. So we will study that. Prime facie, we do not believe in lending from our own books. We believe in remaining a technology platform and connecting the lenders to the lendees. I would continue to follow that route rather than using our own books for lending. That is what is the understanding as of now. As I said, these are the ways to early questions to be even answered question because we have only found that the space to be interesting, not yet done anything on the ground. Okay, next question from Vivek. I wanted to know what was this other income 14 crore, and secondly, what about the current slowdown? How strong is our moat, and how sustainable is the moat, and how is the opportunity size? Here, question about other income. Here, I discussed earlier that we have close to 745 crores of cash in bank as on June 30. Here, they have 745 crores cash in bank. Most of this investment largely in the mutual funds and the liquid funds. So the other income is essentially the mark to market changes and those investments values as of the period. Now coming to your second question, which is around slowdown and mode up and opportunity. So opportunity wise, there are two sides of the opportunity. One is what is the total SME size? So about 60 million SMEs are there in the country. About 20% of them use email or some kind of an internet for their business. So there is a huge potential as the penetration increases. Other way to look at it is that about 1.2 crore GST registered SMEs are there in the country and total B2B trade is approximate 700 billion B2B opportunity. Further on the digital advertising side, about 25,000 crores digital advertising market is going to be there. So if you look at the macro side, India is growing. India per capita income is growing. Number of SMEs are growing. Their overall turnover is growing. This slowdown which has happened probably is far more temporary. We have seen similar impact when GST was introduced and the economy has certain level of temporary hiccups. So I believe that these disturbances are temporary in nature and economy should come back. Come back to our mode. We said we are not dependent on any single category or any single geography. That means they categorize to different things. There are many machinery to medical to agriculture to clothing to all kinds of industries that we do. No single industry accounts more than 9% of our supply base. So here risk of single customer is very low. And even our buyer base is very scattered around the country. Only 35 to 36% of our buyer base comes from metro cities. So two-thirds of our buyer base come from Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4 town cities and villages. So I believe that we have a very good deeper penetration in terms of buyer and very good behavioral data to be able to improve our matchmaking going day by day. So we continue to believe that India is a good opportunity, the SME is a good opportunity and B2B is a good opportunity. That means here management is positive on their business model. Here one more question. What about the growth you are expecting top and bottom line? And any plans of technological upgradation and technology which we have, if you can highlight that also. Dinesh Chandra answering. Dinesh Chandra is a technical guy. He's worked in IT companies. So, technological side, let me answer first. That is close to my heart, being a technologist. We have seen our company evolve from being a pure desktop based company to mobile website to mobile app to multi mobile apps. So, I think now we are a company which operates on a service oriented architecture and is able to serve various things. You will see one voice and vernacular use of on our platform. You can also see lead management system and SaaS on our platform. Similarly, you can see use of fintech on our platform and use of artificial intelligence and machine learning on our platform. So I think we continue to remain very strong and very ahead of the technology. This is a positive point. You can try our website and try our voice search and multilingual search and also compare that with our other platform that are available in the market. Here about growth rate. Here CFA is answering growth rate. As you can see, this particular quarter we have had 30% growth rate. However, in the last 4 or 5 quarters, we have had 25% growth rate. So I think going forward, anywhere in the between the two for the next 2-3 quarters, you can expect. So here, question from Deepak. Sir, we are talking about a big opportunity growth, right? Big opportunity in terms of business to business, and still our paying subscriber maybe it grew only 2%. Maybe it will come back to 5,000, which is still a 5%, 4% quarter on quarter growth. So, is this a possibility that we can grow it at a much faster rate given the kind of opportunity we are talking about? Here, Vijay Kumar, whole-time director, answering. When we go back and look at what are the factors that will drive net adds, one of the important realizations we have seen is overall internet adoption that we get to see among SMEs. This is a positive point. Here, only 17% of all SMEs use the internet for some business purposes, which is also include having an email account. So when you go back and look at the penetration and compare with this with what we see in China. China in 2015 alone had a 34% penetration there. So what we are seeing is the penetration continues to improve within the SMEs. The rate of net addition can continue to improve. However, it is the moment of this adoption which will be one of the biggest drivers on what kind of growth can we really go back and achieve for ourselves. So let's just hope that with the GST being launched, Aadhaar being pushed, digital adoption being pushed by the government, we see higher adoption rate. And I think once that happens, we are probably the best placed company to exploit that increase somewhere. This is a positive point. Another question from Deepak. Is there any kind of data that you track by which you will be able to tell that adoption rate has increased, or is it an increasing trend something the SME? Because 17% of 63 is still about 10 million, right? That is about 1 crore customers, whereas we have about 1.33 lakhs paying subscriber. Bridget is answering. When you look at adoption rates to customer conversion, that number, as I said, will continue to improve as more and more people use it. So we cannot have a direct correlation that if there are 10 million SMEs who are using internet today, using an email, what would be the net customer add that it will sort of result in? Here Dinesh Chandra answering. Let me answer it the other way around also. If you really see comparable company which is 1688.com in China. This is a China company. So that company is the Alibaba subsidiary company, and they have about 1 million paying customers. And China is 10x bigger economy and 10x bigger size. And they are exactly very similar model as IndiaMart, domestic B2B marketplace. And given that we have 1 crore odd GST registered business, and today 90% of our business come from GST registered business only. So I believe that there lies at least similar kind of opportunity ahead of us. The net adds, there is typically migration of the mindset that has to be happen, because the product industry and manufacturing industry by and large is habitual of either the dealer distribution based sales network or walk-in or call-in based sales network. Lead management based sales network is not the cup of tea of the product industry or the manufacturing industry. So that is where most of the churn or most of the adoption related challenges happen. And that is causing slower adoption. Once a lot of many people and the newer generation is habitual of lead management based adoption, I think the adoption rate should improve. Next question. That will inherently increase our customer need addition from 5,000 to 6,000 to 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, right? Numbers I can't quantify, but yes, I mean that would be our endeavor. Next debug border question. My second question is regarding your total number of paying subscriber, which is about 1.33 lakhs. So any kind of vision we have that by how many years you want to reach maybe 0.5 million or 1 million kind of paying subscribers. This is the time period that we want to achieve that. Any vision on those fronts would be helpful. Dinesh Chandra MD is answering. I can only give a historical presentation. In 2001, I had a 1 lakh total number of free listed companies as against 55 lakhs today. In 2001, they have 1 lakh free listed companies, now 55 lakhs. So much growth. I had only 1000 paying customers in 2001, and I used to tell my sales force that if not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then day after tomorrow, we will make all these as our paying customers. And in 2019 or 2018, we become 1 lakh customers. So in 2001, 1000 to 2018, 19, 1 lakh customers. That is very rapid growth. So given that now we have 5.5 million, maybe in 20 years time taken, we know we could have 5.5 million paying customers. We discussed conference call of June 2019 quarterly results. It takes 1 hour 20 minutes. So if you want to analyze fundamentally for any company and need to invest long term like 5 years, 10 years, then we need to go through each point. We'll get so much information based on different points. We need to map each point and analyze the company. If you find all the points are positive, then we need to invest that in that company long term. That's it for it. Thank you.